mustn't be nice. This is the body that I have. It's divine and the gift. I don't need to lose weight, color my gray, or have a facelift. I said I look good because I look good. I start every day by saying I look good. I am the only me that will ever be. I look good. Yeah. Escapism limited to what's on the outside. There's lies to words too that cannot be denied. 'Cause who I am radiates from within. So I'll open my heart, quiet my critic, and begin.
Good morning. Good morning. That was Karen Drucker. And her song's called I Look Good. We were going to have Grayson Nierenberg do some live music for us, and Grayson has a little eye infection, and he wanted to take care of that and protect all of us. So he'll be back in a few weeks, and I get to play DJ. So welcome everybody to the Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. If you are here for the first time, you get to grab a free book and you'll get a welcome packet, and we're so glad you're here. And if you'd like to be on our mailing list, just sign up over there on that little booklet. And those of you that are on the live stream, we're so glad that you are joining us either today or any day in the future, because it lives there forever, right? So we continue the theme of August, which is unstatus quo, and it fits in the theme for the whole year, which is a grand rising. I've only been saying it for, what, 45 weeks or 40? And today the topic is the sexy in the spiritual. So we have Susan Neat with us, who is a licensed practitioner with Center for Spiritual Living in Princeton. And some of you wanted to attend her workshop today, I Love My Body, but it's been postponed due to limited registration. That's why we always say, register early, sign up, go to Breeze. But she will bring that workshop back because I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. So the topic is about coming to understand that sexuality and spirituality are not two different things, two opposite things. They are one thing that's happening. What that means is that each of us gets to become very clear about our own sexuality, and we get to let go of fear. We learn in the Course of Miracles there's only two emotions, love and fear, and everything can be traced back to that. So whatever is under the fear category is ready to be healed. And then we get to enjoy what we hold most dear. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And we start with our Namaste practice. Actually, before we do the Namaste practice, I want to do a little shout out because we have a bunch of birthdays happening today. We have Lynn Sebert, and I get to visit her today, so a card is going around. We have Ulrike Kloppers, who apparently is coming today. Gail Martfin, a longtime member that moved to California years ago. Jennifer Berkeley, Reverend Jennifer Berkeley, who was a staff minister for us. So there's all kinds of good things happening and worthy of celebration, right? So let's do our Namaste practice. Namaste is the Sanskrit word for the divinity in me. Less is the divinity in you. So a reminder, you're not just giving, you're also receiving. So put your hands together and just bow to somebody or everybody and say Namaste. 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 And let's treat our word for affirmative prayer. So as we withdraw our attention from the outer world, we remember that there is a presence and a power that is within us, that is pure love, that is infinite grace, that is the most exquisite joy that flows through our veins. It's our divine reality. It's the ground upon which we stand, literally and figuratively. And so in the oneness of all that is, of all life, of our divinity and our human experience, because it's the both and, we get to discover in this life more about our essential nature, which some call our spirit, our soul, and how to give it more life, how to give it more expression. So today, we explore these ideas of sex and sexuality in the context of the very truth of our being, and we notice all that gets in the way because there's always something. And we find ways to allow that to be dissolved, or to dissolve that so we can experience the freedom and the pleasure of being spirit incarnate. I'm so grateful for these opportunities and to share these kind of ways of thinking with those of like mind, and to be in an environment that welcomes all and celebrates this healing process, which in our teaching is spirit revealing itself. And so we let our day be good and very good, trusting that any healing that needs to happen is already happening, but the tone is set for that as we move through the next days. And so it is.
So it is.
So surely everybody here has been raised with some fabulous ideas about sex and sexuality, and you're just incredibly free, and you're totally embracing yourself and your body tempo. You're having fantastic orgasmic sex, and your life is just on a constant high.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah! So interesting, right? That's not necessarily our experience. That there is at times, or maybe all the time, some trauma, some drama, some confusion, some challenges, some obstacles, etc., 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 ad infinitum, right? Because we learn, most of us learn as we are growing up, that sex is sinful, that our bodies are sinful, they're not good enough, that feeling pleasure is sinful. And just about in every tradition, that shows up. And then shame begins to develop because we feel that sense of separation from the body, from the sacredness in the body. Or we are taught that if we are on any kind of religious path, that we're not supposed to have all these feelings. So I was raised in a Catholic family and wasn't necessarily told that my body or the pleasure that I felt, because, you know, children are naturally orgasmic. So not necessarily told that it's a bad thing, but the energy, the message was all around, was everywhere. So I was only taught about sex in our 5th grade, which in Holland is 10 years old. And I clearly remember going with my mother. She was holding my hand. We were walking to a little restaurant cafe around the corner where they were going to have a collective sex education thing for several classes. And the parents were sitting in the back, we were sitting in the front, and at the end you got to ask a question. You got to write it down anonymously. And so my question was, do people keep their clothes on when they're having sex?
Good question.
Right? And everybody laughed, but nobody knew it was my question. And so they explained it very nicely. And we were walking home, and my mother said to me, you can ask me anything about sex at any time. But the message I got and the feeling I got, please don't. My bedroom was next to my parents' bedroom. I have 8 siblings. I'm number 6. I would put my ear against the wall because I was so curious, like, if that's where babies come from and that's how it happens, I want to hear. I was so curious. And you know what? I never heard a thing. I never saw my parents hug or kiss each other. I saw them hug at the coffin of my younger brother when he was killed. And so I got lots of mixed messages. Anybody else? Yeah, just about all of us, right? Because the most common message, because sex is a taboo, is that there is to be shame. You're supposed to feel shame. And even when we do all this healing around our sexuality or our experience of sex, the messages are there because we live in the collective consciousness where there's so much confusion. I mean, just watch commercials. Just look at magazines. Just look at all the advertising and how we're sold this idea that sexy is good, while at the same time sex is sinful. What? So yet sex is everywhere. It's all around us. Most of us, not everybody, is having it in some way, shape, or form, even if you live alone. And if you need some really good tools, I'm happy to tell you. I don't live alone, but I wasn't going to say that. The rose. So anyway.
I like the rabbit. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh. The rose is better. Anyway.
Grace and Frankie.
Oh my God! Oh yeah, Grace and Frankie, right? So when you go outside in nature, flora, lots of sex. Fauna, lots of it. Flora, fauna, lots of it. And now there's flora, fauna, fungi, because mushrooms are like at it like crazy, right? And so even when we watch movies or pay attention, it's like it's everywhere. We're bombarded by it. Our possessions are supposed to be sexy. Our cars are supposed to be sexy, right? So we're constantly exposed to it, and what we notice is it's either we don't have enough, we're not good enough, we want something we don't have, we have trauma around it, we have beliefs around it that are incredibly limited. So what an opportunity for healing. What a beautiful opportunity for healing. So one of the things that I did this week was watch a movie that's one of my favorite movies, and I have not seen it in a long time. It's a 1972 movie by Woody Allen. Everything you ever wanted to know about sex, but were afraid to ask. I was watching it here in the office, laughing hysterically. Because just think, it was a 1969 book by David Rubin. At that time, it was like pretty intense. I recommend you watch it. It's on Amazon. It brings up topics of aphrodisiacs and orgasms and sex education and ejaculation, which is such a funny section if you have not seen that. It's a whole troop of sperm that are just having some anxiety. Homosexuality, perversity, sexual research, I said that already. One of the funny ones is sodomy. It's this man from Armenia that comes in with his sheep because he's in love with his sheep. And so the psychiatrist, played by Gene Wilder, ends up falling in love with the sheep and having an affair with the sheep. Well, his life falls apart. He loses his license. He becomes homeless. And at the end of the skit, he's homeless in the street drinking from a bottle of Woolite. It's so hilarious. So yes, it's funny. And yes, some of us might have some issues with Woody Allen. But just watching it allows us to kind of say, where we go, this is cool, or this is funny, or oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm watching this, right? And so because we all have room to arrive at a healthier sense of what sexuality is, and a healthier sex life, and that doesn't mean we have to be with anybody, right? It's about the pleasure of being in the body temple, knowing that we are spiritual beings, and that we incarnated in a body because we had some room to heal, to grow, to awaken, and to explore. And so it's a wide range. When we look at sex and sexuality, it's such a wide range. When I was growing up, it was man, woman, and that was all it is. But now we know that there's a wide range around gender and sexuality and sexual experience. And I love that we're talking about it and that we're exploring that. Because there's so much diversity that maybe at some point or another we haven't even thought about. But the invitation always for us on the spiritual path is to look at sex and sexuality from a spiritual point of view. That's who we are as students of this teaching, as people on the spiritual path. We go back to, yes, this is the physical world, this is the physical experience, but metaphysically, there's a whole lot more going on. And what's really going on for each of us individually is that we don't have a soul. We are a soul. And that the soul aspect of our nature is grander, is greater. But we've shrunk it because we're so focused on the form, on the physical, on the human, on the realm of what we can see, feel, hear, touch, and taste. And so the invitation is always, how can I expand my point of view and see it from a spiritual perspective, from a soul's perspective? And from a soul's perspective, there is this beautiful exchange with another or with ourselves that is about pleasure, that is about what is sacred, that is about intimacy. And that is not necessarily about sex or the sex act. That is so deeply spiritual that we can say that sexual and spiritual is the same thing. Because when we separate the two, we get lost in limitations, in fears, in the drama and the traumas of life. And so we get to be more clear, we get to release what's in the way, we get to really enjoy the pleasures of life. I mean, when you eat something delicious, what do you say? Oh, God, right? Isn't that very sexual if you think about it? That's what we say many say when you have I don't know if everybody, but when you have a great orgasm. Like, oh, God! So, how can we make the experience that we're having in the physical body, that we're having as a sexual being, on a spectrum, right? Because some people are asexual, non-sexual, we know that already. But we can still experience the pleasure of being alive, of being in this incarnation, of having a physical body. And so the question then is, how do we make it sacred? Well, we can get a little more curious. We can begin to unpack some of the limitations that we carry around, whether it's about ourselves or anyone else. We can get curious about what's possible. I read a quote this week by Meister Eckhart that just is so alive in me. I keep repeating it. I've done some art with it. It's in my journal. I'm thinking about it all the time, and it goes like this. When the soul wants to experience something, she throws an image out in front of her. She throws an image out in front of her and then steps into it. We are throwing images out in front of us all the time, but we don't always think of it from a spiritual perspective. We think of it more from a human ego, personality perspective, and then we do this duality thing, right, wrong, good, bad, high, low, judgment slips in. But if we can see it from that soul's perspective, it just says that all our experiences are for the evolution of our soul, are for our spiritual awakening, and never, ever against us or anything we've ever experienced. And so that's how we transform shame. Because the voice of shame inside says, I'm not enough. I don't feel my divinity. I'm not a spiritual being. My soul, who knows? And so we need to listen to that, because that's the spiritual evolution that we're being exposed to embrace and to see with greater clarity, so that we can realize that it's not about the body only. It's about the spiritual experience that we're having as a body. And so that means pleasure, that means light, lightness around all those topics, that means joy, and it means freedom and intimacy, not necessarily with anybody else, but at least with ourselves, which, by the way, is so magnetic. You won't believe it. It's like if you're totally in touch with who you are as a spiritual being, and you know you're a soul, and you experience the pleasure of being who you are and being here, you're good. You're going to be like bees on honey. Or you're going to be the honey, and the bees are just going to come, So what we find is that it's the body temple that houses the spirit. And it's worthy of tenderness and love and intimacy and pleasure and joy. And to remember that we're here to make all of life sacred. Because there's plenty of reasons why we have forgotten. Plenty of reasons we have forgotten. We were shamed when we were little for some reason or another. We were abused, sometimes sexually abused. We were told things that were shameful because that's how we were raised in our religions. We came to believe in sin, etc., etc., etc. So how do we make this experience more sacred? This experience of being in a physical body is the question that we can ask ourselves. And then we can listen. And as we listen, we know what to do. That's the beauty. I believe that everybody already knows how to experience more love for the physical body, for the experience of sexuality, life, love, intimacy. We already know. We just get either lazy, or we believe we can't have it or can't do it. There's so many reasons, right? And so that's the awakening that wants to happen once we're aware. We know what the next step is. So it's mostly about releasing what's in the way, not about getting more. It's not about getting the right relationship, the right toy, the right movie, the right thing. It's about releasing what's in the way, because then we become the space through which life can reveal itself and show up. So it's all about uniting the opposite, apparent opposites, remembering that sexuality is spiritual and spirituality is sexual, and it's both, and to find a greater sense of freedom in that. So I have a little song for you, for all of us. What was it called again? My Body by Melissa Filippi. And then we get Susan to do a little spiritual practice for us. All right?
Oh,
Hi, everyone. Before I begin, the masterful Reverend Frankie can take a topic that could be uncomfortable and turn it into joy and enthusiasm and love. Thank you for that. That was so entertaining and wonderful and so meaningful all at the same time. I was touched. And thank you, Karen Drucker, because without this wonderful human body, what would we be? How could we express the delight and the divine that is us? So when Reverend Frankie said to me, the topic today is sex, well, honestly, I'm sort of one of those, I didn't get the modesty gene, right? So I can talk about anything. I can talk about orgasms, I can talk about vaginas, sorry guys, but what I started struggling with was, what am I to say? What is my message for you today? So I did this exercise called forming. It's one of our practices, and I'm just going to share it with you because it's just a wonderful practice where you simply put a question out to the universe. And I said, what is my message to be on Sunday? And then you just sit in meditation for 10 minutes-ish. Don't time it, because then you think you did it wrong if you stop at 8, you know. And then you simply write. So this gobbledygook is what came out. So it's a little bit of chatter and talk, and then a guided meditation about accepting our all good. Because really, that's what life is about, expressing the divine expressing itself, that it can experience the all good there is. So let's start out with this, because this is gobbledygook. Let's see where I can go with it. Would you agree that sex is a divine idea?
Yes.
Right? Would you agree it's a divine creation?
Yes.
So it's all good. So I mean, we could stop right there. There's nothing to worry about. There should be no shame or guilt around it. It's divine creation, it's love. So I came up with this thought. So before I begin the other stuff, this thought is sort of important. It is the indwelling spirit that individualizes the love of each human soul, and man's nearest and dearest approach, and forgive me, man's just came up, but I should say humans' nearest and dearest approach to spirit is by and through love. Love, divine love, is ever present. And that's what we're going to hold on to when I talk about this stuff. So if we're in the flow and we're accepting our union with God, we call that unity. But when we're not in the flow and we're not accepting our union with God, we call that duality. We get into our humanness, we get into our head, and we're all human. We are all on this path of evolution, and wherever we are right now is perfect. So whatever you're thinking that might not be in the flow, it's all good. But this is what I have learned, because Richard and I have been in not only marriage counseling, but sex therapy. And the truth is that what shows up in the sexual arena, whatever may show up, is also showing up in your life.
Mm-hmm.
So you're bringing your everyday challenges into the bedroom, or the bathroom, or the kitchen, or the elevator, I don't know. So, that's the truth. So here's some examples that, and I think Reverend Frankie covered some, but maybe not all of them. For example, lack of trust, or you're not good enough, or you're too old. These are simply errors of thinking that we know in our teaching are just where we are at the moment, and it's just another example that we're not in our union with the divine.
Mm-hmm.
We've kind of phased in and out of our awareness, right? Let's be honest. Because sometimes we experience stress, sometimes we experience anger, and then we go, oh, what is this an opportunity to do? It's an opportunity to pay attention to how it's acting out in the world and in the bedroom. That's just the way it is. Now, Emma Curtis Hopkins says, God is my good, good is my God. So that basically means that it's all good. And we have to practice remembering that. Ernest Holmes says, good and more good is mine. An ever-increasing amount is good is of mine. There's an unlimited amount of good that is mine. And Psalm 23 says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me for all the days of my life. So why shouldn't it follow me into bed?
Yes.
Right? Clap for that. So here we go. What is keeping you from your good? You're all good. In your relationship with self or others and in the bedroom. You could be experiencing shame keeping you from your good. You could be experiencing lack of trust. And it could be trusting yourself. Sometimes in our path of learning about sex, can we express our joy? Do we have to, can we trust ourselves to expand and go? As Reverend Frank, oh God, can we trust ourselves to let go and let God let us experience this pleasure? It's just so much. So these are basically areas in your relationship. How many people, don't raise your hand. That's a rhetorical question. But you're in relationship, and whether it be in the bedroom, whether it be sitting across having dinner, some topics are hard to be honest about. Mm-hmm. So can you be there and you want to talk about sex? And can you say, when you touch me there, it doesn't really feel good? Can you say that? Mm-hmm. Or are you holding it in and then you get tense? Can you say that about anything? When my husband cooks with me and he keeps standing in front of the drawer with all the knives and forks. And sometimes I can't say, I don't want to bother him. I'm not going to move him out of the way. Instead of just saying, sweetheart, when you stand there, it inhibits me from doing my job of getting, anyway. Can you say, when I'm with you, sometimes I'm afraid I can't have an erection. Or when it's this chatter that we're afraid to do, and fear is the opposite of love. Where love is, there is no fear. And that is what I've learned the most from sex therapy. And it's also relationship therapy, because we're in the same thing. To get into that space of oneness with yourself, trusting that God is present, and being able to say the challenging things that you're afraid to say. So you take a moment and you look at your relationship with yourself even, and with your loved ones. And you look at all your relationship with your children. Where are you holding back the truth? And there's this wonderful thing that you can Google, and I recommend it for everybody, called nonviolent communication. Mm-hmm. 4 parts. Nobody feels blame or shame. And it is a lovely way to speak. NVC, they call it. And this is something that you can bring into bed, you can bring into the dinner table, you can bring anywhere where you get to really be honest and let go and let Spirit speak your truth in a loving way. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to go through a little bit of a lovely guided meditation. Before we go into it, I want you to think for a moment. Where in your relationship with yourself, or where in your relationship with someone else, are you afraid to talk about or ask for your all good? Where are you holding back from experiencing the bliss that is life? The bliss that is the divine expressed in, as, and through us. And it can be something simple, like I'm afraid sometimes that my body at my age won't work. Or sometimes it's just simply that, when my husband, eats, he eats like a slob. And I'm afraid to tell him it embarrasses me in public. There's little things that hold us back from life, simple things. So just think about one little thing and then close your eyes for a moment. And just close your eyes while you think about this one little thing. And just breathe. And know that this one little thing, whether it be a big thing or a little thing, is a great opportunity for you to recognize that you're holding yourself back from your all good. And just think about it. If I were to be able to express this in some way, or release it in some way, how would I feel? Could I dive into my all good? Can I accept my all good? Can I Let Spirit do its thing in, as, and through me. So I invite you to be open as you breathe to the idea that you can release what doesn't serve you, because God is present here and now. And as you breathe, this is the gift, the breath of life. So just allow yourself to feel that warmth of God's presence, the divine presence, the Spirit within you. And let that breath infuse you with that light, that lightness of being one with Spirit. Because we know whatever is keeping us from our all good is just forgetting our oneness with Spirit. So this is our time to remember that all good is always available. We open our eyes and we accept it. So as we sit here in this place of feeling, of breathing, just breathe that love throughout your whole body and let your body feel that love. No matter what we think we are in years, our body is a temple to experience and express and to talk and to be one with all those around us. And just be with that body and that breath and feel that warm fuzzy. Feel that love moving through your arms and your trunk and your legs to the toes and your nose. Just feel that warmth, that love. And know that wherever you have this opportunity to step into more good, you have your breath to remind you that it's just a moment where you're forgetting your union with God. And it's wonderful because it's your path to evolution. So be grateful for these opportunities, for these apparent challenges. So right now, as you breathe this light, this love within you, start to feel that gratitude for this opportunity to recognize that it's only that. It's only an idea that keeps you from an all good for a moment, and it can be released. It can be learned about. It can be discovered. Just breathe that yumminess of life. Be with that union of each breath. And each breath is a breath with everyone in this room. So we're experiencing the union with each one in this room. So we know that this life is ever present. And I'm going to read some beautiful words in the first person that are a combination from my forming exercise, a combination of Emma and Ernest, all jumbled together in union because it's all one anyway. And I invite you to just listen to these words and embody them. I arise and go forth in the dawn of this new day, filled with faith and assurance of the all good. I sing with joy in gratitude for the many divine gifts that bring pleasure into my life. And I accept joy and pleasure as my birthright. I proclaim the one life in, as, and through me. I am a child of all good and accept my body as perfection in expression. I accept my heart as open to love. I accept the presence of Spirit within me, directing me into this new day filled with the pleasures of good. Divine life and love is eternal. Divine love is ever present. Divine light is ever shining. Divine peace, which passeth all understanding, ever present. Divine power, the only power, the power for good. Divine harmony, complete balance, and divine joy. Divine joy is our birthright. It is mine to receive and experience right here and right now, I open myself to the floodgates of joy and release any bondage, any boundaries holding me back from that floodgate of joy ever available. It is here, it is now, and it is mine. I now know I do not have to wait for my good. It is omnipresent. I can see it, I can feel it, I can proclaim it, and I can express it. Good and more good is mine. An ever increasing amount of good is mine. The good that is mine is unlimited, and right here and right now, I claim it with love as I claim my divine union, because it's all one, soul in expression. Divine love in expression. Just breathe that love. Feel that love. And slowly bring your awareness back into your body. Feeling that love and bringing it forth with you as you begin to move your body and bring yourself back into this space. And when you open your eyes, I invite you to let that love, that light shine outward to all in this room, to the universe and beyond. Because that is your gift to share with everyone. Your light, your love, your joy, and your all good, that others can have all good. So bring yourself here, open your eyes when you're ready, and let your light shine. Thank you.
A lot of healing going on in there. So Susan is available for Treatment Express afterwards, which is our word for spiritual mind treatment. It's a mini quickie thing where you get to taste what it's like to have somebody pray/treat for you. If you want more, contact any of our practitioners. And I just had this thought when you were doing your guided meditation where all of us, some way, shape, or form, were created during the sex act. Whether it was in a dish, a petri dish, or in person,
Yeah.
that's where we got our beginning, and that was miraculous. So each of us is a miracle. I want you to know that I am offering an experience based on the book, The Grace of Aging. And this Wednesday is the third session of 6. Anyone can join at any time. We're doing the third section of the book called The Deepening. I call The Deepening. So if anybody wants to join, the flyers are over there. It's in our weekly email. If you're not getting our weekly email, let me know. I'll add you to the list. If you don't want to be on there and you're on there, let me know that as well, because we're updating our lists. It's from 6:30 to 8 on Zoom. We have a community meeting coming up because most of you may know by now that I am re-inspiring, what some people call retiring. The date is March 2nd, my last Sunday, and a party on March 7th, so you'll hear more about that. Reverend Janice is facilitating this with the Leadership Council. It's on Sunday, September 8th at 1 p.m. There's a potluck before it. We want all of you to come because you are Center for Spiritual Living Morristown. So together you decide what's the next chapter. So come and join us for that. In September, on the 22nd, Kat is doing another sound bath. And we have a new flyer here for anybody that's interested in or curious about membership. There's a membership class called Discovery Class on October 20th. I know that's far away, but I'll be here before you know it. Okay, so let's do our love offering, which is an opportunity to just say, wow, I received something that I want to circulate, so I want to give back. That can be in the form of volunteer work, social hour. We have Charlie and Christy facilitating our social hour today. That can be financial donation in any way, shape, or form online, PayPal, Venmo, or just giving today. So as the basket goes around, just bless it whether you're giving or not, and let's do an affirmation together. In this moment, I celebrate my abundance.
I celebrate my abundance.
And I release a belief
And I release the belief
that I don't have enough,
that I don't have
I
enough,
don't do enough,
I don't do enough,
or I'm not enough.
or I'm not enough.
So I welcome this experience of abundance
So I welcome this experience of abundance
in all kinds of new and juicy and sexy ways.
in all kinds of new and juicy and sexy ways.
So it is.
And so it is so.
All right.
It's so much here.
Okay, so now we close. We have, Ulrika has a birthday today, so we're going to sing after we do the live stream, and then we'll do a song for Lynn, who I'm going to visit today, on video, okay? Yeah, we'll do a video. Whose idea was that?
Yours.
No?
I said sing a song, but you said video.
Oh, okay.
It was a divine
It was a
idea.
divine idea. So now Susan will bless us with a healing closing treatment.
Sure thing. But first, I want to talk a little bit, no. If you are interested in an express treatment, I will put a chair in front of my chair and I will sit there, but I'm going to have to run that way first and then I'll be back. And I want to say that it is an express treatment, and some people like to bring their stories into an express treatment, and we know that a story isn't going to serve us. That can be brought into an actual practitioner session because that's how the practitioner gets insight. But for an express treatment, I simply invite you and I say, what truth do you want me to know? So before you come to the chair, think for a moment. What truth do you want Susan to know? So with that in mind, closing your eyes and getting ready for a closing treatment. As we breathe in the joy of this day and this wonderful celebration, I speak these words knowing that the truth is this: there is one life. That life is spirit ever present, the creative principle for good. And it is creating right here and now as I stand here on 2 feet. It is creating the words coming out of my mouth. It is creating all that is said and understood in this day. So this was a gift. It was a divine gift, the flow of inspiration coming through Reverend Frankie, myself, and each one sitting here. So I am knowing that today is a blessing, and this blessing is carried out into the world. That each one here received something, some little nudging, some urging, some sense of peace, some new idea, some new thought to move forth in a greater state of soul evolution. And that love is ever present. And that love is always in action in each one. That love is always awakening in each one. Because it is eternal, it is ever expanding, ever growing, never ending. And there is always more and more good to receive, more and more love to understand. So I am so grateful for this opportunity to be here, to speak these words, and to let others be imbued in this inspiration that is the divine flow. So thank you all for being here. Thank you, God, for expressing, and thank you all for letting your light shine when you leave here today. What a gift this day has been. What a gift the words have been. What a gift the light shining is. And so it is.
So it is.